Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again to Talking Nonsense with Rache. It has been a little bit. My last episode, which is hilariously titled "It's Good to Be Back," went live on October 29th, and the day today is December 2nd. So it's been a little bit, but I'm back. November was a nightmare of a month. There was so much going on. I had so many things to do. And the podcast unfortunately just had to take a little bit of a back seat. But I feel better. I'm ready to continue going. And yeah, I'm sure you've noticed that if you're watching the video podcast, that the environment is different. I've rearranged my office space, and now I have so much more room, and things are where they should be, and it's wonderful. And it's a great feeling going into the end of the year with a clean space after a year and a half of not. So that's a really, really great feeling. Now, I'm going to try and not have this episode be as long as previous episodes because I'm going to be honest, I don't really have a topic today. It's kind of just going to be a catch-up kind of thing. There's a light topic, but not really. So last we chatted, we talked about my tattoos quite a bit. We talked about my travel plans next year. Talked about school a lot. I don't want to talk about school too much, but I will lightly touch on it since it is a part of my life. I finished my research project. I finished it in November, which was the main reason why November was such a mess. The whole first half of November, I was nonstop researching and reading articles and preparing my essay and everything. And then after I submitted it, I completely burned out. I was exhausted. All I could do was go to work and go to sleep. I couldn't think of doing anything else. My body was just so tired. And I'm going to be honest, I have gotten my grade back, and it's not as good as I was hoping it would be. It's still quite a good mark. It's 1 mark off of an A, which is really annoying. But for my first research project back since dropping out, I'm quite proud of myself, and I've learned a lot of things for my next one, and it was fun. I loved researching what I researched, and yeah, I know so much about that topic now. Maybe it'll be put to use one day. But other than that, this week coming up is my last week of classes, and then I have a final exam the week after. And then I'm going to be starting school again in January. I'm doing 2 courses. I'm doing part 2 of this history course that I've been in, and then I'm doing an anthropology course as well. So those should be quite fun. They're both online again, so it's going to be the same kind of situation as this semester, because this semester worked out pretty well for me. I was able to still get everything done, but yeah, that's my school update. My second update is a reading update before we get into the topic of the day. After finishing my research project, I thought that I was not going to finish reading anything unless it was school related for the rest of the year. And then the Booker Prizes happened. If you don't know what the Booker Prize is, it's a literary, that's word is so hard for me to say. It's a book award. I think it's based in the UK. And they, feature these incredible books every year. And so this year was the first year that I really followed it. And there was this book that was in the short list. It unfortunately didn't win. I mean, I haven't read any of those books yet, but they are on my list to read because they all sound so good. But the book that I was hoping would win is called The Bee Sting by Paul Murray, and it's, from what I know about the book, from reviews that I've heard, it's a book lightly about the butterfly effect and how your interactions with your loved ones can affect your relationships with them, and apparently it's just this very raw emotional take on familial relationships regarding the butterfly effect. Doesn't matter. I was following the Booker Prize. And so the live stream happened, and the book that won is called Prophet Song by Paul Lynch, and also sounds very good. But watching the live stream, I was like, oh my god, I need to read something. And none of the books that I had really were like speaking to what I wanted to be reading, because I wanted to read more like contemporary fiction, literary fiction, and I have a lot of romance and fantasy and YA and stuff, and I'm like, that's not really what I want right now. Like, I'm sure eventually I will read the books that I have. My bookshelf is right here now. I'm sure one day I will read those books, but right now I needed something set in our world. So there wasn't any world building to have to deal with. It's just more so based on character development. And then I remembered that I have this book. And I'm sure I've talked about this book on this podcast before. But this book is called When My Heart Joins the Thousand. And this is by A.J. Steiger. And I'm holding, for people that are only listening audio version, I'm holding the hardcover book in my hand, and I am over halfway through it now. I started this 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And I'm on page 210, chapter 23. And I'm getting those feelings from this book that I am going to be an emotional wreck after, just because of how much I love this. And this is my third time trying to read it, and it's hitting so differently the third time. I think because I understand it better than I did when I was 19, or even when I got it. I got this as a Christmas gift. I think in 2018, I got this as a Christmas gift. Like right when it was published, it was a brand new book. And I was under the impression that this was going to be like a YA coming of age kind of thing. It's not. It is like a coming of age thing, but it focuses more on the importance of trust and honesty in platonic and romantic relationships. And it follows our main character, Alvy, who is autistic, and she so desperately wants independence that she's built up these really strong walls. And this book follows her slowly breaking those down once she meets Stanley. I would die for either of these two characters. I love them. They warm my soul so much. And it's so comforting. It's so comforting. I mean, I haven't finished this yet, so I can't really recommend it, but this very well could join my list of favorite books of all time because of just how quickly I'm flying through this. I'm a slow reader. I am a slow reader. Sometimes it takes me weeks to read a 350-page novel. It's been 2 days. I mean, it's only 9 a.m. when I'm recording this on Saturday. So hi, if you're listening to this the day it's posted. I recorded this 3 hours ago. I I started this basically 2 days ago. I've been reading this for 2 days. I read over 100 pages yesterday. I could probably finish this book today. Like, that's just how easy it is to get through, how quick the pages turn themselves. Anyways, so good. Exactly what I needed. I wish I could read Normal People by Sally Rooney for the first time again. Because I wanted that human connection story, not like, oh my god, high stakes, so much is happening. I just want people being people, figuring out how to be people. You know, I love those kinds of books. So, book update out of the way. I mentioned in one of the previous episodes that I was planning on getting a tattoo. That did not happen. I canceled it. I am gonna wait until I think spring of 2024 to get my next one, because as much as I would like to get another one, I'm not itching to get one, and I don't want to get one for the sake of getting one, you know? I want to have that excitement of getting a tattoo, okay? What other updates do I have? Oh, I know I talk about them every time, but it's gonna be a good segue into our topic of the day. But say it with me. Rachel's favorite band is 17. We know. Rachel, we get it. But on December 16th, they are broadcasting their concert in Japan to select theaters around the world, and one of the theaters is in my city. So I bought a ticket, and I'm so excited. I've kind of accepted that I'm very likely never going to see them live and in person. So this is as close as I'm going to get. And I'm very excited. And it's going to be very fun. And I'm hoping that I work up the courage to talk to people there, because I'm going by myself, because I don't have any friends that listen to this music. So I'm going by myself, and I'm really hoping that I work up the courage enough to talk to someone there, because everyone that's going to be there loves this band and wants to see them and likes their music. So I'm hoping that I can, maybe make a pal or two at this thing. I don't know. Maybe that's unrealistic for me, because I usually sit completely silent when I'm anywhere by myself. So we'll see what happens there. But that is later this month, and I am freaking excited. Let's segue into our topic of the day, which is stat related, analytic related. If you've been on the internet, you may have seen people posting their Spotify Wrappeds. I have the wonderful pleasure of having 2 different Spotify Wraps this year, which is very exciting and very fun for me, because usually as a Spotify listener, I get my Spotify Wrapped statistics. Basically, if you don't know what Spotify Wrapped is, it's your listening statistics over the past year. Your top songs, your top artists, your top genres, songs that you had on repeat, new stuff that you listened to, that kind of stuff. Usually I've just had that, but now that I have a podcast, I have my podcast stats as well. So I wanted to look at them with you. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? So you're not going to be able to see it, because I don't want to give away any crazy information, but we're going to talk about the podcast stats first. So the Wrapped for podcasters. There's like really long transition-y things for this one, but unsurprisingly, my Talking Nonsense's top episode, most popular episode so far this year, has been my second episode, which is my really long one about my career in esports. And I'm both surprised and not surprised that's my most popular. I thought my most popular would be my first, given that it's my first episode, I thought that it would have the most listens because people are like, what on earth does Rachel have to say about anything? But people were interested in my career in esports, and that's really cool. I really loved that episode. It was a very real episode, and it's fun, and it's a fun feeling. I mean, some of these stats are kind of whatever, because I started my podcast so late in the year. We started in August, so some of the stats don't really make sense. But this podcast has been streamed in 6 different countries. Shout out to you if you're from one of those 6 countries. That's crazy. It doesn't tell me what countries, but it does say that Canada is my top country, which I'm not surprised by. I am Canadian. My family listens to my podcast. Hello, family. We had the most new listeners in Canada and the United States. Also makes sense. I got stats about you guys, though, as well, which I thought was so crazy. So if you listen to my podcast on Spotify, I kind of got to see what your taste in podcasts and I believe in music are. Definitely podcasts. But the 3 top podcast genres for people that listen to my podcast are comedy, true crime, and technology. The top 2, I'm not surprised. I think those mainly come from me. Okay, I'm gonna expose myself here. I do listen to my own podcast. I'm not ashamed. I like remembering what I said, so I don't say the same thing multiple times. I do. I listen to it back like a few days after I post it. Usually before I'm gonna record the next one, I'll listen to it just because I'm like, what is it like to listen to my podcast? Because I forget. As soon as I finish recording, I forget what I talked about. And I think it's so funny to listen back to me talk nonsense. So those top 2 may come from me because I'm a very big podcast fan. Shocker. The top music genres for listeners of this podcast are pop as number 1, rap is number 2, and rock is number 3. I'm surprised by all of those because I don't think any of those come from me. So that's a really interesting stat. Oh my gosh, there's so many like transition-y things. I think that is it for the podcast results. Now we can move on to my personal listening stats, and I'm about to expose myself so hard. I got a lot of questions when I posted screenshots of my Wrapped on Twitter and Instagram. The day that they got posted, I posted them because, it's Spotify Wrapped Day. It's usually what ends up happening on the internet. But I have a lot of big numbers. So in 2023, I listened to 16 different genres, but my top genre, big long transition. It's making a sandwich. My top genre was K-pop, big shock. Then pop is number 2, K-pop boy group, K-pop girl group as 4th. I listened to a lot of K-pop this year. Just wait until we get to my top artists, because it's a lot. I played 1,774 songs this year, with my top song being Light a Flame by 17, which I played 464 times this year. I am a chronic repeat player. My top songs, here we go. So they are all 17. My top 5 songs, all 17. I'm pretty sure I can check like my my playlist that Spotify creates for me that has all of my top songs, and the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The top 15 are all 17. And then we have one G-Idol song. And then it goes back into 17. Then we got Stray Kids. So K-pop is basically all that's on here until we hit some indie pop. But my top 5 songs: Light a Flame, like I said. All My Love by 17. Pinwheel, which... my pinwheel tattoo, is number 3. Darling is number 4. And Dream is number 5. All very good songs. All very good songs. I listened to music on Spotify for 188,905 minutes. That's 131 days nonstop. And that's where I got a lot of questions. People were like, how do you listen to that much music and podcasts? Or I think that's just music. Because I think there's a podcast time stat. I am required. That's a weird word for it. I cannot sleep if I'm not listening to something. And for a big portion of the year, I would flip between, I would like start with music, and then halfway through the night it would change to podcasts, or it would be all music or all podcasts. Either music or podcast is playing. If I'm sleeping, you can best believe that there is a podcast playing in my ears, or my sleep playlist. So that's how my number gets so big. Meanwhile, people have like 15,000. Oh man. Yeah, that's my biggest stat, I think. My listening time peaked on May 10th with 988 minutes. I don't know what I did on May 10th. Should we check my calendar? Maybe I did something fun. Maybe I was doing something. Let's look. Let's look, everyone. Oh, no, it says nothing. So, yeah, I don't know what I was doing. Did FML by 17 get released that week? The music video did. Oh no, it got released like 2 weeks before that. I don't know what I was doing. Interesting. I listened to 690 artists this year, but my top artist was, to no one's surprise, 17, as usual. And I spent 51,776 minutes listening to them. And I was in their top 0.01%. I don't think I've actually like fully read that. I was in their top 0.01%. I am speechless. I don't even know what to say. I need a life. Oh my god. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. Let's see what else this has to say. Yeah, nothing very surprising. My okay. We're getting into like my top artists now. So, this is where I will be exposing myself yet again. My top artist, 17, as we discussed. My second artist is Taylor Swift. Can't really be surprised there. My third top artist is Busaksoon, which is a subunit of 17. So basically still 17. My fourth is Woozi, who just so happens to be the songwriter and producer of all of 17's music and also a member of 17. And then my fifth is The8, who also is a member of 17. So Um, basically my entire top artist besides Taylor Swift is 17. um, I need professional help, I think. I need to calm down. Oh, Taylor reference? Oh, we're getting into the podcast stats. I spent 109,280 minutes listening to podcasts this year. Should we do math? Wait, we should do math. What was my 188,000? 109, 280. Wait, we need to check. 188,905. I spent 298,185 minutes listening to Spotify this year. How many days is that? Wait, 298,185? Yeah. 185 today. Minutes to days. 207 days. 29 and a half weeks. That's crazy. Please don't think of me differently after this episode goes live. I promise I'm staying. It's just because I listen in my sleep. Because if I have this weird thing. I'm in therapy, don't worry. I have this weird thing where I panic when I wake up in the middle of the night. So if I have something playing in my ears already, the likelihood of me waking up is not very big. I'm not like a light sleeper in that way. Like, anyways, my top podcasts. This is where those stats from the Talking Nonsense stats come into play a little bit more, because my top 3 podcasts are all comedy podcasts. All 3 of them are no longer active and haven't been for years. So my top podcast is the E-Boys podcast, which is the England Boys, consisting of Mimulus, I'm Alex, James Marriott, and Will and E. Great podcast, very funny. Then I have Sweet Boys, which is my all-time favorite podcast. I listened to it all last year, pretty much exclusively, with Garrett Watts and Andrew Sawicki. Also really great podcast. Then I have The Friendship Onion with Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd, who played Merry and Pippin in The Lord of the Rings. Such a good podcast as well. I wish it did not end. Then I have Crime Junkies, number 4, and then The Broski Report with Brittany Broski, which is a new podcast for me this year. Let's see. Yeah, crazy stuff. So that was my Spotify Wrapped, and I know like some people probably are going to be like, that was boring, that was lame. I think it tells a lot about someone, their Spotify, their music taste, their listening stats. I am a chronic song repeater. I listen to the same songs every single day, and I never get sick of them. I haven't gotten sick of them. I've listened to the same songs for the past 2 years every day, and they still hit as if it's the first time I'm listening to them. I don't know why my brain processes music that way, but yep, once I like a song, like you can bet your boots that I'm going to be listening to that for a long freaking time. Yeah, I feel vulnerable. I feel like you just like saw the inside of my house. by looking at my music taste. I mean, we already knew, but I don't think you knew how serious it was, I guess. So yeah, that is this week's episode. Regarding my posting schedule for this podcast for the next little while, I am going to be moving to bi-weekly. So episode 13 will not be out next week, but it will be out the week after. Just because I want to give myself more time to really think of a topic to come back with, so that you get a really good episode next time. Instead of this weird little rambly, hi, long time no see kind of thing. I know that's one of my biggest things I have to work on is I literally take the name of my podcast too seriously and I talk nonsense. I'm working on it. Don't worry. Hi, Mom. She's gonna be like, why did you call me out? Yeah, anyways, I will see you guys next time, which will be December 16th. The day I will be seeing the Follow tour. It's my Eras tour. I was telling my best friend about that last night. It is my Eras tour. So, sorry, Taylor. But yeah, I'm very excited. Anyways, I will see you then. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient with me as I worked through the nightmare that was November of this year. We only have 2 more episodes left of 2023, and then we'll be in 2024, and that is going to be so wild and crazy. I can't wait. It's gonna be so fun. I can't wait to have fun with you in the next episodes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I will see you next time with episode 13. Bye.